Hey, welcome back to the channel. It's Fixed Blade Friday, and we're going to be looking at a kukri. This one was purchased right out of India and is in the style of the kukris. So the army uses this style in this model to this day. Pretty interesting story, pretty interesting knife. It's popular with a lot of people in America, but this knife has a much greater story behind it than what most folks think. And we're going to be talking about that in the upcoming video if you'd like to join me. What was that about Grandma again?
Crazy Grandma?
Crazy Grandma?
Yeah,
Why'd they call her Crazy Grandma?
I don't know, really, but just from my recollections, I don't know, she did weird things. Like one time she tried to hijack an airplane. I forgot about that.
Yeah, I'd say that's crazy.
I barely remember now exactly what happened, but I know that they pulled everybody off the plane and called the police, and I'm sure they detained her for quite some time.
All right, welcome back to the Fortified Castle. Hi to all my viewers. Thank you so much. I was a guest on Jesse McJames and Randy's WSG live show yesterday. I think it was a pretty interesting subject, prepping, and it's something I feel passionate about. I hope you guys check out his video if you haven't done so already. We covered a lot of ground on that. Tools, all kinds of things about prepping, why you even need to be worried about it. So I hope you check out Jesse's live show yesterday. Now, this is a kukri, spelled Khukuri. It has a couple different alternate spellings. That's the most common one. This is a number of Army standard weapon, surprisingly. So the Gurkhas, of course, use these. They are a what's described as a mercenary force out of Nepal, the country of Nepal, which borders to the north of India. But the Indian Army also uses these, the Bahrain Army, the Singapore Army, and of course the British Gurkhas, which is a group of Nepalese soldiers that work alongside the British. They're actually part of the British Army. So all pretty interesting. Let's take a look at this knife, and then we'll talk a little bit about the interesting history on this knife. So this knife has a 10 1/4 inch recurved blade. You can see it has this weird 45-degree angle on it. I don't believe that's really 45 degrees. It's, well, yeah, it might be. Yeah, if you hold it like that. Yes, 45-degree angle on that. Has a very sharp point, so definitely stabby if you need it to be. And kind of a convex grind on this one. Again, this was produced in India. Has a nice little fuller there. Not very big though. And they're really known for how hefty they are. So this thing is sharp. I got to be careful. So if you look at the spine on this, the spine on this is 9 millimeters. They'll run between 5 and 10 millimeters usually on kukuris is a standard. Very strong spine, meant to withstand the impact from chopping. And that's what a lot of Americans like about this. So this has become a popular camp knife where people take them out and use them in the camp. So what's so appealing is this design is blade heavy. So it really adds a lot of force when you're chopping, and these knives really make great choppers. for camp work. And this right here, this notch, it's called, has a very unique design. It looks like a cow's foot. Supposedly it has symbolic meaning to the Indians and the Nepalese, reminding them not to kill a sacred animal, which is a cow in India, using this weapon. But this is also the symbol of fertility, a Hindu fertility symbol. And the descriptions from Nepalese websites say this is a blood notch. And so it's used to catch blood and let it drip off so you don't get it on the handle. So a lot of different uses in that blood notch there. Typically you can find the collar of brass here. Usually in your pommel is usually brass. These are not full tang in the sense that we think of full tang as being carrying on the width of the blade, but they do come in all the way down. Most of them come in all the way down in a rat tail. That's how the British or the Khukuris are made, with a full tang, and some are half tang, rat tail half tang. But really awesome little knife. Typically these things are 12 to 18 inches in length. I like this length right here. I think it's really perfect. It's very easy to handle at this length. Devastating little knife, to be sure. And so I like that blade length. They come in, this thing's heavy. I think you heard it. Trying not to cut things up here. Okay, so they come in these sheaths. The sheaths are a buffalo hide typically. You can find metal sheaths and decorated sheaths and things like that. I went with the standard issue Army model. Most of the sheaths have this type of cover, a tip cover to protect the tip. And they'll of course be, different materials. This one's in brass. The knife goes down in there, and you see two smaller knives right here. So this blade here is unsharpened. It's described as a knife blade. It has, my Khukuri has buffalo horn. These are buffalo horn handles on this. And it's unsharpened because this is meant as a sharpening rod for the Khukuri itself. So you can sharpen the blade with this. And then they have a little tiny blade, same size as the sharpening blade, but this is actually sharp, and this is used for small tasks that you have in camp and for skinning small game. And so you don't have to use your big old knife to use small game. And so let's move on to the history. So these knives kind of make an appearance around 1600. There's some conquest going on. A king is unifying different provinces, and we see this Khukuri at that time. We actually have Khukuris that date back to the 1600s. Past that, it's kind of shrouded in mystery. But when you look at the design in this, and this is the Indians and the Nepalese attribute the history of this knife to the kopis. And there's a picture up there on the kopis right now. Looking at that kopis, which was the Greek weapon sword used by Alexander the Great when he went into India, you can see the similarities between these two knives. So I don't doubt that this knife comes from the kopis at all. Probably, dates back to 2,500 years, and probably has been used in some form and fashion that whole time in Nepal and India. So, very interesting history. After England subjects India, there's agreements made in the Gukris, the Gukra, from Nepal, start serving in the British Army, and they're still serving in the British Army. And so that's where we start to get this familiarity with this weapon, is that the Gurkhas are carrying these throughout the British campaigns from 1700 on. They were used in World War I, World War II. They were in Afghanistan. I'll show you a picture up there. This is a group of Gurkhas, and you can see on the belt of the one that's kneeling, he's got a kukri slapped to his belt. And so Gurkhas actually carry these, and they're quite big weapons. You know, they're 1 pound to 2 pounds is what these weigh. So they're pretty heavy. Usually soldiers want to carry something light, but the Gurkhas prefer that and they carry it. So being a career Marine, I'm familiar with a lot of different stories, military history, military weapons. That's just one of the things you get immersed in when you're in the military for a long period of time. And so the story goes around that the Gurkhas in World War II often charged their enemy with these knives drawn when their rifles were functioning fine. And the story is that they just preferred to use their kukris on the enemy rather than their rifle. So it takes a lot of courage to charge somebody with the knife when they have a firearm. But, you know, stories like that, you get them sometimes. Sometimes they're true, sometimes they're not. But a little anecdote here is in 1982, there were some islands off the coast of Argentina called the Falkland Islands. Media was embedded with the British Army. The Argentinians, this territory has been traditionally associated with England. They established a whaling colony. The island was uninhabited, but the Argentinians decided, hey, there are islands, we want them back. Negotiations failed, so Argentina invaded the islands and took possession of them. The British, of course, said, oh, heck no. And so they went down there to take the islands back. Long story short, I'm watching this video. There were a lot of really cool video on the Falkland Islands, but I'm watching this video, and there is a Gurkha charging a machine gun nest that was firing. The guy's firing his machine gun. There were 3 guys in the machine gun nest, and this Gurkha is charging up a hill with his kukri pulled, and dispatched 2 of those guys. One of them just gave up. So the Gurkha in question here had a functioning rifle slung across his back. So yeah, these Gurkhas, kind of crazy, right? They prefer to slice and dice rather than poke holes with a bullet. So that's just an interesting aside to that story. So I'm going to close this video out with telling you that this is an awesome tool, right? So I think that's what Americans like about it, is it's a great camp knife. But in Nepal, this is a daily tool used by Nepalese throughout the day for processing meat, for cutting wood, firewood. It's a everyday tool for the Nepalese, but it also carries a lot of some symbolism of wealth and social status, prestige, and you know, almost every wedding groom carries one of these kukris to the wedding ceremony attached to his side. And so it's said, there's a saying that says a kukri kept in the home is said to bring good fortune and ward off evil. And even sometimes they put them under their pillows. So it's more than just a knife, you know. It's a religious symbol and part of the Nepalese daily life. Has a lot of spiritual meaning in it. And so I hope you enjoyed the video. This is a really cool knife. If you ever wondered about getting them, they're great. They last just fine. I've done a bunch of chopping with this thing. Most of these are made with just carbon steel, unless you're buying a really expensive one. But most of the ones you get commercially are carbon steel. And so they'll rust really easy. You definitely have to keep this thing oiled and check it out. If it rusts up, you know, just hit it with some steel wool. It comes right off. But great little weapons. I hope you enjoyed the little information here. I thought it was fascinating learning the history on this. And hope to see you in the next video.